Welcome to AP Language and Comp's first vocabulary list. Are you talking to me? What is great about each of these lists is they are categorized by subject. This first list is all words that can be used when referring to verbal or written communication. Some of these words you will see on the prompt instructions on the AP Language and Comp exam essay portion. Let's get started. You should take Cornell-style notes with each of these lists. Cornell notes are two-column notes. First, you put the title at the top of your page. So the title for this one is Vocabulary List 1, Are You Talking to Me? Second, you divide your paper in half with a line down the middle of your page. Third, you take notes on the left side of your divided paper. You copy the word, part of speech, definition of the word. You can also put the variations of the word if you would like. That would help you out quite a bit actually, because you're going to be using these words in writing, so if you know various ways to actually say the same word, it'll work, depending on where you're going to put it in a sentence. On the right side, you put anything that's going to help you remember the word. You can draw a picture, you can put the sentence I put, you can create your own sentence, you can do whatever you want, but it's more of a learning device or a memorization thing. I'm not asking you really to memorize these words because you're going to be having these words as a resource that you will always be able to look at. We may take tests on these words, but I'm not as concerned about making you memorize them as having a way for you to have lots of words in your bank to use. One of the things they give you higher scores on the AP language writing portion is your use of diction. So we're basically increasing our diction by learning all these different words. And yes, over time, if you use them enough, they will become part of your language. But memorizing them doesn't necessarily help you other than, they're going to be stuck in your head. But you can, I know on the exam you're not going to be able to use the list of words, but as we work in class, you'll have these lists, and the more you use them, the more that you will retain them. So, let's get started with our first word. Okay, our first word is assertion. If you notice on the right of the word, I have put in parentheses the pronunciation of the word, and it's kind of done phonetically, so it's assertion. The larger capital letters are for the accent and where you would emphasize in the word. So, for instance, it would be said assertion. If you heard, I put more of an accent on the sir part of the word. So, assertion is a noun, and basically it's a declaration or statement. There are a few word variations. It can be a verb. You can create a verb and say assert, asserting, asserted, depending on what tense of the verb you want to use. Or you can create an adjective, assertive. We could not believe John's assertion that he had never seen Star Wars. On these next slides that you will see after each word, I'm also going to be put a picture for you. It will help more clarify it for you, but also if you would like, you can do this picture or something similar in your notes. But I use this one, I guess it comes from the Army, and they basically say assertion, leaving no out of the question. And obviously, armies are very assertive. They will not take no for an answer. They're going to shoot to kill. Pretty assertive. Okay, our next word is cogent. Cogent is an adjective, and it means convincing or reasonable. And there's one word variation, and it's basically an adverb, and you could say cogently. So how did you write? You wrote cogently. Christina's argument was so cogent that even her opponents had to agree with her. And I kind of like this little cartoon. because it used both the words assertive and cogent. If you look, this man is pretty assertive to convince this other man to do something. So on second thought, you're absolutely right. Actually, he wants him to believe his opinion. And it just says another definition, another way to pronounce. There's other forms of pronunciation keys that you can use. But basically, again, it's having the power of compelling or constraining, convincing as a cogent reason or argument. Our next word is coherent. And coherent is an adjective, and it means logically connected. And the other word variation you can have on that is coherently, an adverb. You can be coherent, or you can do something coherently. Hopefully, write coherently, speak coherently. The old prospector's story was not coherent. He rambled on about different things that had nothing to do with one another. So really coherent means making sure that you're writing and making sure everything in your essay has to do with your topic, and that they do not stray off the topic and become not coherent. One paragraph to the next has to keep the topic in mind and add more information, but it's always logically connected together. So I kind of like this picture of a chain that's linked together. It's just like your essay. Everything that you do is linked. If you break that chain, it's broken, and it's people don't understand. They're confused. So you don't want to break your chain. You want to stay coherent, stay in the topic. Okay, our next word is cohesive. Cohesive is an adjective. It's a condition of sticking together. There are a few word variations. You can make it an adverb, cohesively, or you can have two nouns, cohesion and cohesiveness. Eric's essay was cohesive because each point flowed nicely into the next. So not only does your essay have to be coherent and stick on the same topic, but then you have to go from one point to the next very cohesively. I like to think of cohesive as transitions. So on this next slide, I've given you some things to think about why we use transitions. Basically, we clarify the relationship from one thing to another. Which creates cohesion, which is what this word means. And you want to link major sections to text, convey sequence, signal shifts in time or setting, show relationships, build toward a particular tone, and outcome, build suspense. So your cohesion, you have to use transitions to be cohesive in an essay. Your ideas can be cohesive too, because one idea can lead to another idea, but there's different ways to stay cohesive in an essay, and one really good way that we're going to make sure that you do when you write is to use transitions to make your reader understand how you're going from one point to the next very smoothly. The next word is didactic. This word I like. You're going to see it as a tone word as well. I give you a tone word list. And I've seen many people use this word, but I want to make sure you understand that the only definition, it is an adjective, is intended to teach or instruct. There are some word variations. There's an adjective, didactically, or didacticism. You can use it as a noun. The tapes were entertaining and didactic because they amused and instructed the children. So it deals with instruction, didactic. So if you were to see this, use this word, and you were to say something was didactic, you would probably see something from a textbook or an encyclopedia. Clearly it could be, one of the first reasons we're going to do Emerson's education was given to teachers, and so therefore he was trying to teach them about how to educate, the best way to educate a child. So it, in its sense, the tone could be didactic because he is teaching, but there are other tones attached to his piece. But that is one way he is instructing. So just remember that didactic, you have to be instructing in your writing or in your speech. And here's a little picture of a guy who is instructing. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that it was instruction. Our next word is discourse, and it is a noun, and it means verbal expression or exchange, basically a conversation. So when we have a discourse, we're having a conversation with people. So, instead of saying, I had a conversation yesterday, you could say, I had a discourse yesterday with my mom or my dad or a group of students or a group of peers that I, was working with at school. You can also use it as a verb, and the verb form means something a little bit differently, though. It means to speak or write authoritatively about a topic. So, when you use it as a verb, it has a slightly different meaning. Their discourse varied widely. They discussed everything from Chaucer to ice fishing. And I kind of just use this graphic for that, and it's just another way for me also to talk about why we discourse in class and why it is part of the Common Core standards and what it helps you as a student to do. One of the things is that, if you discourse with a group of students, you can talk, you can reveal understandings and misunderstandings. Many times we have the readings, we always discourse about our readings. We delve into them, whether we're doing the discourse online, or we're going to do them in class. We're doing them two different ways. But it's very, very important to help us to understand and to talk maybe sometimes about our misunderstandings, because these readings are not very easy, some of them. And then it also supports robust learning by boosting memory. The more we talk about something, the more we can remember different things. So many of the terms and everything we're learning, we will do a lot of or much discourse about them. And then it supports deeper reasoning. On our own level, we can get to a certain level of reasoning because we just have one brain. But when we talk to other people, we get different ideas and different opinions, and therefore we can get deeper into a topic and reason it on a deeper level. Also, when we talk to support language development, the more we talk to people, the better our language becomes. We learn some vocabulary possibly from other people, the way they say things, and we ourselves have to speak very, coherently and make sure that we are putting words together that make sense, and we are forced to think about what we're saying, so therefore we become better at our language. The other thing that talk does is it supports development of social skills. That is key in school, in the workforce, outside of school, anywhere we volunteer, any place we go, we have to have some social skills. So when we're talking in a group, it's really, really, really important to build those social skills and think about that. So hopefully you will have a good time in Mrs. Tansky's English class discoursing about everything. Our next word is eloquence. I like this word because it kind of sounds like its meaning. When I think of eloquence or eloquent or somebody who's eloquent, I speak of somebody who's very pretty in their language and their use. I know I use the word pretty, but and it just doesn't mean that. The word just sounds so nice, and there's something about eloquence in writing that's very similar to the way that the word sounds. So it is a noun, and it's the ability to speak vividly, which means with pictures, and people can hear you. see what you're trying to say. So it's all your description. Mainly